Today we're trying to make a functional shield and spear prop from Stranger Things. Stay tuned. Greetings adventurers and welcome to Skill Tree, where we learn how to do just about everything. So recently Stranger Things just wrapped up their final episode of their final season, and I'm mixed about it. One, I'm glad it wrapped up. I think when shows go on for too long, they can really kind of lose the thread. But this has been something that I've really enjoyed for the past 10 years. I mean, it's had its up and down or whatever, but it's been there for 10 years and it's been cool. Also, it mixes in a bunch of crap I like 80s tropes and adventure stories and D&D. Anyways, to get myself past the drop you get when you're done reading a book you really liked or playing a game you loved or whatever, I decided I'd make a fun prop from that show. And since I have been in a post-apocalyptic vibe lately, there is nothing better on this show than the shield and spear assembly that Dustin uses to fight in the Upside Down. So that's what we're making here today. Not only are we making it, but we're gonna make it functional, because I don't think the ones in the show would be functional. Before we get started, let me just get this out of the way. This is for educational and entertainment purposes. This thing is wild. Don't try it at home. There's no reason for it, honestly. Okay, first things first. A close inspection on what we are going to be making here is basically just a trash can lid with a bunch of nails in it and a stick with a knife attached to it. You don't get any more basic than this, but there's some caveats here, because I don't actually think this would work. Well, at least not the garbage can lid. I think that the nails would just kind of push back out, and it's one of the flimsier kind of, I don't think it would work. And I like to take the creative licensing and make a thing that actually works. So of course, the first thing I had to do was go to the hardware store and find a garbage can lid. I was actually looking for the one that had the handle on it, like they have in the show or whatever, but maybe they don't make them anymore, or at least there aren't any around here. I had to go to 4 different hardware stores and none of them had it, which is fine. I wouldn't have used that anyways. There's a leverage issue, right? If you're just holding onto a small little handle in the middle, anything that goes out to the sides is really gonna overpower you very easily. I'd much rather have the whole arm kind of be situated into this thing, right? Like a real shield. Also, this one's more rounded than the flat one used in the show, which I like better too. That's more like a shield shape, right? That is a stronger shape in general. Also, I got 2 of them. Because again, I suspect that if you just kind of drove nails into the lid itself, as soon as any pressure was put on those nails, I think they would just fall right back out. But if we can put a backing on it, right? Sandwich them together, that would stop that from happening, in theory. Now for my nails, I got these 3.5-inch common nails, as well as this 10-inch and 8-inch spike here. Though looking at the one in the show, I do still want it to kind of look like the one in the show. They don't actually end up using those 8-inch spikes, just the chunkier ones and then regular nails. So that's what I'm gonna go with. But I immediately see an issue with the size spike I got, in that it's too tall. Again, this is kind of a game of leverages here, right? So if you have something that's that tall, anything that hits it from the sides or whatever, the leverage is going to be too much and it's just going to bend off to the side. I don't want that. I want this thing to be functional. So I just go ahead and I cut these down to about 4 inches tall. And then I use the file to bring my point back. Well, I did on one of them to show you that you can, but all the rest of it I did on a sander because I just do not have the time for that. But in doing so, I was in fact able to make these things just viciously sharp. They come kind of dull. These are real sharp now. All right, so adding these things to the lid couldn't be easier. I just go in with a drill bit that's a little bit smaller than the size of the nail and start plucking my holes down wherever I want these things to pop out. Now, there is a balancing act here with how many nails we actually add. I wanted to add enough that it looked angry, honestly. I want it to look kind of scary. But too many nails and you have a bed o' nails situation in which you're spreading that force over a whole bunch of different points is going to make it less effective. For my purposes, though, I just kind of randomly put them wherever I thought would look cool. Then I started just kind of hammering them into place where they'd go. Though, it was at this point in time that I made a decision here. So the ones in the show, it has it so that the nails are coming out from the inside of the lid, right? Because the handle's on the outside, so that's the way it was. It's not that big a deal because it's flat, so there's no efficacy on either side. But this is round like a shield. And the way that's strongest is if that roundness is facing your opponent, right? So though it looks less like the one in the show, I have to go with the more functional choice. So I turned this sucker around and I started sticking the nails back in the holes, this time the correct way, what I think is the correct way. Though as kind of an added bonus, because I had gone the wrong way, quote unquote, first, it actually leaves me with this little mound on the inside, which to me is just gonna kind of reinforce those things. It's like you have a little bit of extra metal that's now pushing down onto the head of that nail, and I think that should help keep it in place a little bit more firmly. We'll just chalk that up to a Bob Rossian happy accident. Anyways, once I was done putting these in, immediately this thing is like comically crazy looking. It is for sure just scratching that post-apocalyptic itch already. It looks gnarly. But as I thought, just slight pressure on this completely sends the nails out. There's just nothing for it to hold on to, right? Which again is why we're gonna sandwich that second lid right in there to hold those in place. Before we do though, I wanna kind of put the assembly that I'm gonna use to hold it to my arm. I thought the easiest thing to use was this big old pipe clamp. Not only is it the right shape and it's adjustable, but it really fits that like cobbled together aesthetic that I'm going for. To attach this, I just kind of figured out where I wanted it to land on my forearm in here, and then I cut little slits just to accept that band through. And then after I fished it through and tightened it all together, I'm left with this awesome little forearm support here. Again, adjustable and everything, so that's great. Now, because the metal of this trash can lid is not made for this, it's quite thin actually, which is nice because it makes it light, but it's gonna kind of want to warp on me a lot. So to attempt to stop those nails from kind of dancing around too much, and also to make the whole thing like a more singular unit, I decided to add in just copious amounts of this construction adhesive. Just all along the rings of the inside, everywhere I thought a nail head would land. And then once I was happy with that, I just kind of sandwiched them together exactly how they would want to nest anyways. Though I think that the lip on the outside of it actually gives it just a little bit of space in there, which wasn't ideal because then the nails, again, they're gonna move around. There's nothing holding them really securely inside. But luckily, as I said, this is very thin metal, not a big deal. I just kind of flipped it over and I used a hammer to pound in all of the areas just behind the nail heads and really form fit that back piece to the front piece. Then I strategically drilled some holes through both of them so that I can fish this kind of nut and bolt assembly through it, locking both pieces together just kind of as tightly as I could. And that worked a treat. The nails are super secure in that position. I don't think they're gonna move around too much. Obviously, over time, if you were heavily using this thing for whatever reason, I guess, those things would like start to fall apart. But I think it's like made to be disposable, right? I think most shields in general, once they took a lot of damage, you kind of threw them away and you got another one. And this one's made from 2 trash can lids and a bunch of nails, and you could reuse the nails, so like, not a big loss, I guess. Anyway, the last thing we need to make this more functional is actually like a handle to hold. It's in my forearm, but I've got nothing else to secure it. But I figured we can do a little bit of double duty and make it so that not only is it a thing you can hold on to, but it also will help hold everything together. So to do that, I'm just gonna be using this piece of threaded rod here. I just drilled 2 holes along the rim exactly where I wanted it to land, then put my threaded rod through and secured them down with these cap nuts here. I decided to go with a cap nut because I was sure anything else, like if I left just an end out there, I would eventually hit myself with it. It's like guaranteed. At least when I hit myself with it, it'll leave a bruise rather than a cut. And this actually works really well. It's positioned exactly where I'd want it. I can move this thing around freely. The only thing is it's damn uncomfortable, so I just kind of decided to use this old wrist wrap here just to kind of bulk out where the handle would be and give me something more comfortable to hold on to. I also left enough hanging off the end so I can secure it to where my forearm attaches to, which now gives me a nifty little sling I can use. So now I can be traveling with my shield o' death and pain just on my back, and then at a moment's notice, flick it over to the front, and bam, I am ready to defend and also attack, I guess. Potentially build a home with the nails. I don't know, whatever the moment calls for. So I'm gonna level with you. At first I was only gonna make the shield for this, but I had so much fun with just the stupid shenanigans of making this thing that I figured while the construction adhesive dried, it needed 24 hours, I'd go ahead and I'd make the spear too. I mean, it's a knife on a stick, right? Like, why not? So in proper 80s movie fashion, I just went out and find the most Rambo-y of Rambo knives that I could. Luckily, these are usually actually pretty cheap. I think this knife was like $15, crazy. And double lucky is it has this little bayonet hole here that I can append right onto the stick that I found outside. As an aside, I live in New England and finding this stick, I have woods out there. It shouldn't be hard to find stick, but it is all ice and snow right now. I spent a while finding a stick outside. My dog loved it, but it was a pain. Anyways, luckily I had exactly the tool one would need to whittle down the tip so that it could fit inside that little bayonet hole there, which is pretty slick and should really help hold this thing pretty secure. The one in the show didn't, it just kind of like was on the side of it and it tied it up. I could have done it that way, but this one has the bayonet thing. Why wouldn't I use it? That's just silly. Anywho, to lash it, I'm just gonna be using some of this jute cordage here, simply tying it with a little overhand knot to keep it steady, and then kind of loosely wrapping it around. Not so loose it'll fall off, but like not crazy tight, because I wanna be able to get behind this knife afterwards. You see, once I reach the top, I then change that up so it goes around the top of the knife and then back underneath the knife. And doing this is actually how we're gonna like cinch it really tight and make sure that it's holding on as securely as we can. Then at the end, I just use the excess rope that was left hanging to tie off a knot. So I set out to make these things, obviously as best as I could, but I wanted to keep it like we're teenagers in an 80s movie trying to cobble some stuff together from the garage, right? Like most of this stuff is things you could just find or whatever. I had a very low expectation of this thing working, either of them. I thought it would just kind of fall apart, look cool, but fall apart. So for a laugh, I decided to test them. Why not? Starting with my foam golem here, which I thought was a pretty good test because it's actually really hard. I used like a construction foam to make them. You can check it out here, but it's pretty hard. I started with the stab test and like, yeah, that worked too well. Granted, it's a foam, but like it's a hard foam and it just went right in, no problem. So I decided to do the cut test, and this one to me was for sure, the stick isn't even crazy strong, it's not like oak or anything. So I thought it would fall apart, it would break or whatever. But like slicing this thing, it cut straight through, which is also a testament to the knife when you think of it. That knife, for as cheap as it was, is crazy sharp. But yeah, man, this thing went like deep. That would be a problem, it went so deep. So okay, knife on stick, sure, that works. I think it's a survival hack anyways, right? Like, it's a thing people do. So I'm surprised it worked as well as it did, but sure, fine. No way the shield will be as good, I thought. But no, man, this thing stuck right into him. Deeply too. It had zero problem. I think the convex shape of the shield actually helps because now all of those nails are at different heights and kind of different angles. So that problem we were talking about, that nail bed problem where it distributes the force out, is kind of mitigated by the fact that all of them are a bit of a different height now. But I was still a little bit like, okay, it's the foam though, right? If we did like a better test, definitely wouldn't be as effective, I'm sure of it. So I went and purchased little watermelons and stuck it outside. Because any good ninja knows, fruit is the only real test of one's skill and weaponry. Although I know melon isn't a fruit, it's in Fruit Ninja though, right? I think I get a slide here. 100% you guys are gonna be in the comment section and be like, actually, it is a fruit or something. Go to town, it's fine, it's engagement, I guess. That's great. So first, ye olde slice test. And hot damn, like a hot knife through butter. Like I didn't even feel the friction of cutting, and it's so clean. The same with the stab test too. Like at this point, it wasn't on there great, but yeah, man, this stabbed no problem through the watermelon. For the shield, I decided to be a little bit more scientific and just kind of throw it high up in the air and try to block with it. And this demolished the watermelon. It could not have worked better. I genuinely am kind of mystified and impressed at how well this damn thing works. A little scared now. It's on the internet. Again, don't do this. There's no reason for you to have one of these. But it's cool. I think it's neat. Now, my battle against my foam golem and the watermelons did leave some of these nails a little loose here. I was a little upset about it. I was hoping that the contact adhesive would do a better job holding them. But it turned out this was actually a really easy thing to repair. I just took this cold chisel here and knocked in around the nails from the top, which pushed that metal in, locking the nails securely into place. So yeah, you could engage in epic post-apocalyptic battle, kind of rough this thing up, and then just a few knocks and everything's tight, like tighter than it was before. It's cool. So yeah, as kind of a joke thing to get me over a show that I liked ending, I ended up making like genuinely dangerous post-apocalyptic weaponry. I think I'll probably have to just disassemble these now that I'm done, though this one might actually be hard to disassemble. I kind of did a good job making sure it was one piece. But genuinely just these hanging around in my workshop, which isn't too big, like I'm gonna fall and kill myself. Look at this thing. But it did do its job, like being able to kind of in a way act out that little portion that I really enjoyed of the show, making things that I have kind of evidence of having made. It did that cathartic thing I needed it to do. Now, if you enjoyed watching me make this project, why don't you give me some of that like it love, and don't forget to subscribe so you know when I release new content. In the meantime though, keep leveling up, you. You've made it to the end screen. YouTube loves it when you do that, and it's a fantastic way to support this channel. Another fantastic way to support this channel is by joining these people's noble ranks. These are our Patreon members, and we can't do any of this without them. A giant thank you to our Grandmaster tier Patreon members, Froggy and T&D Design and Sundry. It is truly incredible that you guys support us in this way, and it makes it so that we can build crazy things like this. I'm still so surprised at how well these worked. Anyways, if you like what we do here and want to support us, consider joining our Patreon, link in the description below. Otherwise, you can check out one of these videos that YouTube thinks you'd like, and that helps out a lot too. Now, I must go carefully put these away. This one genuinely frightens me. Look at this stupid thing. It's nuts.